Awesome. Love Deepvue. Hello, everyone. That's awesome. Loud and clear. Perfect. So to get started, I just wanted to point out something we released on the Trailline side today, a free stage analysis course. Um, yeah, yeah, no shave. It's kind of becoming the theme as we prep for the kid. But um, so you want to check this out? I will put a link of this in the chat right here for you guys to take a look at. It's completely free. It's broken down into 5 modules. If you're interested in stage analysis, we have a whole stage analysis indicator and scanners in Deepvue that you guys will also really like, and we will cover those today. So if you're interested in this, check this out. This is a resource that we just put together and want as many people to see it and go through it as possible. We've done a really good job of just breaking down the 4 stages and really simplifying that as well. Will you be putting the recording of last night's class on YouTube? Yes, we will. We're just editing some of that, Rick, and there was some, phone calls that I got during the webinar, which will not happen today because I'm in Do Not Disturb, but that will be emailed out and also posted on YouTube. So today's topic is just a full platform walkthrough and how do you get started when you kind of have a subscription of Deepvue. So the first thing that I want to cover is just the layout. You want to you want to be in tune with where everything is, especially on the screener. If you learn that, and that means you've learned the application really. So with the very left, we have the navigation menu, which when you first start with Deepvue, you will see it like this in the full form, and you can collapse it as well. I like to collapse it because it creates more space for what really matters, and then I really get used to the navigation items. So we have the dashboard module, which we'll cover. We're going to start with the screener. Watch list, we'll get into alerts. And then within dashboard, we have many apps. We'll go over the education module and how that's helpful, account settings, and then the help menu if you want to seek, if you have any questions, support, things are not working, you want to report something that you feel is a bug, etc. So that's the navigation menu. I like to hide it, creates more space. If you want to keep it, open, that's perfectly fine. It's all based on personal preference. The platform will remember if you have it open or collapsed. The layout of each of the modules is very similar. So I will cover the layout next. And if you learn this layout, you will know exactly how to work the watch list and you'll know exactly how to work the dashboard. So at the top left of every module, we have the search symbol. And the search symbol is when you click it, it will bring up a pop-up where you can search anything that you like in the market. So let's say I'm looking at IoT, which gapped up on Friday, and I can bring up that symbol. The screener table updates with that symbol, and my data panel and my stats table will all show information about this one particular symbol. All 3 modules, the dashboard, watch list, and the screener have this search symbol, and it's activated when anywhere in the platform when you start typing a word, it will be activated and you could start quickly searching what you're looking for. Now to back out of this global search, you'll see an X button at the very top left here. And when I X out of it, I go back to my previous state. So searching symbols throughout the platform, anywhere in the platform is very easy. It's activated by just typing into your keyboard or clicking the search symbol at the top left. The second option that we have, and this is common through all 3 modules, is going to be My Screens. So My Screens is where you get to save your screens that you create. And My Screens, when you click that, you will see a saved screen section where you can create folders. You can create all your screens and separate them by what you feel are good buckets for your trading. For me, I have, the earning screens in one bucket, the study screens, correction-based screens, daily routine, and my weekend routine, and stage analysis. I like to bucket them up in folders. That way it keeps it really organized. And if the market's in a correction, I know which screens I'm running, right? And if it's my daily routine, I go to my daily routine, run through these three, a couple of screens that I have. My weekend routine, I run through these screens as well. To create a screen, you could do it many different ways. So this particular dropdown, you can use this create new button, and we've put in multiple ways, so it's very easy for you to create one. And we have a new screen button to the right of my screens, which also starts the screen creation process. So the second thing that you want to pay attention to, so this is your saved things that you save to the platform, right? They will all be available under my screens and save screens. Now, if you go over to screener presets, which a lot of you, when you are first signing up for Deepvue, we post a lot of our presets that we've made. These are pre-made screens for you to look at. That just show you the capability of the platform. So we have over 80 preset screens. And if you guys have any top traders that you feel that we should be including into the platform, let us know. We're happy to work with them and include those. So we have, Stan Weinstein, Minervini, Colomaggi, Oliver Kell, Webster, Stockbee, Matt Caruso, and many, many others. We have Deepvue screens under presets, which are customized screens that tap into some of the proprietary stuff that we've calculated, like the RMB, stage analysis, but also screens that we feel are, leadership stocks will show on or universes. So you want to check these out as well. And these are very unique. Most of these are very unique to Deepvue as well. Now, let's say we'll start with the first thing. Let's say I want to see what Deepvue Leaders is and what it does. So if you go ahead and click that, it will load that screen up. And to the left of it, it will say, now you have a new button that shows up, which is Edit Filter. When you click that, you will see the exact criteria that we're using to come up with the Deepvue Leaders screen. The criteria is not hidden, and you can go through it to see if it's something that you want to tweak. Right. So let's say I really like the Deepvue Leader screen, but I don't like a particular criteria that we've, pre-made for you guys. So if I go ahead and click that and go to screener presets under Deepvue Leaders, I click the three dots and I could then duplicate this or move it to my saved screens. And when I go ahead and duplicate it, it will say, okay, you want to save the Deepvue Leader screen, right? Let's just call it, instead of Deepvue Leaders, we'll just call it my Deepvue Leaders. I could save it to one of my study folders. Okay, pick a folder, create a folder, add a description, and save it. Once I save it, it will now show up under my saved screens and the folder that we saved it to, and it's now a personalized screen. So I've taken it from the presets and made it my saved screen. Now, once we load this, my Deepvue Leaders, which I copied over from the presets over to my save screens, I now have the capability to edit any of this that I like. So let's say I don't like the fact that we're using 85 for AS rating 1 month. So when I click on it, it will load that particular filter for me, and it will make it really clear as to what edits I want to be making. So under performance ratings, AS rating 3 month, I see 85. Now this experience is not the best, and next week we will be optimizing it by when you click it, it will highlight exactly what you clicked, so your eyes go towards exactly what was clicked and what you're about to edit. It's really, really hard right now, and we understand that. And that is an improvement that we'll be pushing to the platform next week. So when I click that and it goes to performance rating, let's say I don't like that. I want this to be 90 as well. I click add, and you will see that the criteria that you just clicked, edited, and added is now updated in the screen. You can remove things that you like. You can edit it as, whichever way you want, and you go ahead and save the screen. And now this screen is forever saved under your folder and the my Deepvue Leaders screen. So you come back, you load it, and that's how you kind of copy some of our pre-made screens customize them to be your own screens that you want to save in your folders, and they will be there forever. Now, let's say I want to create a screen from scratch. So what we covered now is how to duplicate some of the presets over to save screens. Now, let's say if I click new screen and I want to create something from scratch. When you click that, there's a pop-up that shows up on the very right side. So what we have is broken down these things down into buckets. So we have a general criteria. All of our earnings are bucketed into one category. Anything earnings related, sales, sector, industry, so on and so forth. And we recently introduced a new bucket for pre and post market scanning. So pre and post market scanning was something that our flow wasn't the best. We completely improved that. Now you can have dedicated pre-market screens, dedicated post-market screens as well, right in the platform. So let's say I want to create a screen for finding stocks that are tightening up and above the 50-day, right? Hypothetically. So what we want to do is search for, let's say, I want price versus the SMA or EMA. When I click that, again, the experience is not the best at the moment. And when you click that next week, we'll go to that particular area of search and help you out. So it will come right here. It will highlight that. Let's say I want stocks above the 50-day only. So I say, give me all stocks that are, the SMA 50-day and they're above the 50-day. So if I go ahead and click that, it will filter the database so if I type in 0, click add. So it will filter the database from 11,000 or 12,000 stocks down to 5,000 stocks. And it will say these are all stocks that are above the 50-day. The next thing I want to do is just add some liquidity criteria so I don't get stocks that are very illiquid. Let's just say I want stocks above 15 bucks. I want the average volume. So if I go ahead and search average volume, click that, it will open up this. Have to find average volume, go to 20-day. Let's say I want the volume to be on a 20-day basis to be 2 million. Now, the neat thing about this is you don't have to type 2 million. You have to click, if I just type in 2 and M, it will pick up the fact that I'm trying to type 2 million, right? Or if I want to type 2 billion, for example, I guess click 2 and B, and it will pick up the fact that I'm trying to type 2 billion. So that's also applicable for if I say 212K, it will know that I'm trying to type 212,000. So it's the capabilities to type are smart, and you could use K, M, and B for thousands, millions, and billions in any of the inputs for when you're creating a screen. Now, again, the search experience is not the best. That is improving next week, where we will scroll you down to exactly what you search for, and we'll highlight the box around it. So it's really, really clear as to where you need to be going. So let's say we want to add some liquidity criteria. So average 20-day volume of 2 million, last is greater than 15, price is greater than that. Now, one of the proprietary criteria that we have in the platform is the RMV. So if I type in RMV, again, the searches experience is not the best. We will be improving that in the short term. So if I type in relative measured volatility, it will take me to the proprietary bucket. We have relative measured volatility. Now, RMV in Deepvue's platform, it measures how tight a stock is relative to its own action over the past 5 days, 10 days, so on and so forth. So if I want to say that the stock is starting to trade relatively tightly on a 20-day basis, and the RMV, that means it's relatively tight. We just say it's less than 10, for example. Now, this will give me all stocks that are relatively tight, to their action over the last 20 days. And the RMV, the measure of RMV is less than 10. If you Google just relative measure volatility Deepvue, you will see extensive documentation, videos where we go into depth of how to use it, how to add it as an indicator, how to see it on your charts, etc. So that is all available and not kind of the focus of this webinar. So if I go ahead and save that screen, right, and I could just say, tight, let's just say tight stocks. I could save that screen. I could save it to a folder. Let's just save it to my testing screen folder. I'll call this demo DV, and I go ahead and save that. The screen is going to load. I have a list of stocks that show up. I have my chart up, my data panel, and my stats table. So if I go through these, now these are stocks that are starting to get relatively tight to themselves. Now you can see Kava is starting to act well and act really tight. The relative strength is increasing, right? The stock is holding the 10-day as the Qs break below, and that's a huge deal. So all these stocks, so something like eBay is starting to hold the 10-day tightening up while the market is headed lower. So, and all these stocks are also above the 50-day, right? So the stock is above the 50-day, the market is below it. Again, relative strength, and you go through the whole list, and it's really easy for you to scan the markets for stocks that are tightening up relative to themselves and building a setup. So that's how you create screens in Deepvue. So this is a very simple screen compared to what we had for our Deepvue leaders, right? So the screening in Deepvue is, the module is really extensive. We have hundreds and hundreds of data points, and we continue to add more and more, especially on the fundamental side. We will be adding quite a few in the coming weeks and months as well. So that's how you create a screen in Deepvue. And let's kind of move to the right side of the top bar here now. So you have the ability to export your results. So you could copy the symbols to Twitter or X. You could copy symbols to Clipboard. You can export them to CSV or Excel. All of this is possible. And what it will do is it will take your screener list and it will copy the symbol columns to Excel or CSV if you want to be doing that, or to your clipboard if you want to paste it elsewhere. The next icon that we have is share to X. So share to X is essentially we'll take a screenshot of your screen, build a message that you want to post, and you can connect your Deepvue account to your X account, and you can directly post things to the social platform if you have a following or if you want to share things with other people. The next two buttons here are the stats table. So if I click that, you will notice that the stats table at the bottom over here appears and disappears. So if I click it, it turns blue. And if I let go of it, click it again, it turns white. That means it's disabled. So blue means it's enabled. It's at the bottom of your screens. As you go through different symbols, you'll see that the stats table changes and it pulls the quarterly EPS and sales data and also pulls the estimates data for that particular symbol. Next is the data panel. So the data panel is our attempt to make, all the data that you would want to know for a particular company, a particular ETF, will be available in the data panel. The data panel itself, again, if you learn the UI of the screener, it's the exact same UI for the data panel. You get to save different data panels. You can access our data panel presets that we have, and you can categorize them into buckets. So if I'm searching, if I have a stocks data panel right here that I've created for my trading, and I can take a look at, let's say, what is Oliver Kell using as his key data points, or what is let's say Richard Moglen, what are some of the key data points that he's looking at. So all the data panels are available. We're constantly going to add more and more presets, and you could also duplicate any of these panels to be your own. So if I click that, duplicate it, I could save it just like we did for Deepvue leaders. So the flow in terms of how you save and how you access presets is the same across the board, and it's no different in the data panel itself. The data panel does have an edit mode, so you have the complete ability to showcase any data point that you feel is important to you and your trading. There's no particular style that we will force upon you or certain data points. You can X out any of these data points. You can move them around. So if I want to move this up and down, I could do that. If I want to add it to a different bucket, I can create different categories for my data panel, and it's completely customizable as to how you want to use it. So that's that's the data panel. You could hide it if you don't want to be using it. You could showcase it, here, and it will show up on the right side of your screens. Now, the next two things are the single chart and the mini chart view. So the mini chart view converts the screener into a whole bunch of mini charts that will show up. Now, all the criteria that we have in Deepvue leaders are all loaded as smaller charts on your screen. As we scroll through them, you'll see the charts that load up, and it's a quick way for you to scan the markets as well. And it's a purely, chart based, but you've loaded the screener that you're in. Now there are different settings that show up to the left of when you go to mini charts, which is this last icon. There's two more settings that show up. The mini chart settings. So what do you want to sort by? What chart time frame do you want to see? If I want to see weekly charts only, then it will load the weekly charts. If I want to see, let's say, yearly charts only, it will load up the yearly charts for all the symbols. Or if I want to see the daily, so all the time frames are available. Also, intraday time frames are available. So if I want to see 5-minute charts as I screen the markets, I will get to see 5-minute charts as well. You also get to control what kind of, if you want to see line charts, bar charts, and all of these different types that are available, and you get to control that as well. And that's part of the mini chart settings. I want to make sure that you guys understand that when you hover over and you don't know what a particular icon's for, you hover over it and the tooltip will show up, which will guide you as to what this icon really means. And when you click it, a pop-up will appear. Or if I want to refresh the sorting, I click that, it will refresh the sorting in the background. So that's mini charts. There's a whole tutorial on this and a guide as well in our knowledge base that you want to be aware of. And then we have the single chart, which gives you a big chart in the middle and your data panel on the right and the stats table at the bottom. So that's the layout of the screener module. And if you learn this, it will take you no more than 5 to 10 minutes to kind of get acclimated to where do I save things? Where do I enable and disable the different modules that are available in the screener? If I want mini charts, I go to mini charts view. If I want to share things or export things, I could do that. I could share things to social media platforms, and I could show and hide the navigation on the left. Now, I will pause here to take some questions as they come through. Okay. How do you get text boxes in the RS line? So at the very top here, I have the RS line. All you need to do is, if I were to draw something and I put a text box, I could click that and it would just, I can type in anything in that particular pane. I hope that answers the question. You just use the drawing tool and you click where you want to place it, and it will show up exactly where you want to place it. Okay. Do we have the ability to screen against existing watch lists? This is one of the top requests that we will be working on in the second week of September, and it will be a huge focus. And it will take us about a week to do. It's one of the top things that's been requested recently, the ability to screen watch lists, and that's going to happen in the month of September. A lot of folks have requested this, and we will be doing that. Will we sometime have the ability to format our data points with regards to font properties, display name, and precision level? We will have some updates that come to the data panel. The ability to give people control of font size, we will likely, we can do that. The ability to go beyond that and give you the ability to change the name for market cap and stuff, get into a territory where we'll get a lot of user feedback, and we won't know what's wrong with the application or what's working right because it's highly customized. But what we will allow is the conditional formatting of data points, which will be the next phase of how the data panel will evolve, and also the ability to increase and decrease text size. But to get into, I want to rename name to N and I want to rename website to W, that won't happen for the foreseeable future. What is the panel at the top of your screen? The panel at the top of my screen is the relative strength line. So if I go ahead and click that, it's the Deepvue relative strength line. It's within the charts. You get to add infinite amount of indicators. We'll get into charts in a few here. I just wanted to cover the basic layout before we get into how to set up charts. How do we get the 65 daily and the weekly next to each other? This is a quick one. If you click the drop down and you click one of these stars next to it, so if I click the star next to it, you'll see that I'm getting more and more time frames added over here. So it becomes a quick switcher for the time frames that are most important to me. So if I want to switch to 65-minute daily or weekly, it happens really, really quickly if I star next to these. Mini charts can be customized for indicators. We do not have the ability to add indicators to mini charts just yet. We will, and it's in the pipeline. It's not a focus for September, but definitely something that we want to do in terms of improving mini charts. Will the data panel every show the data as it was back in time base as you crosshair through it? That is something that we do want to accomplish as you go through and crosshair this and the data changes. We don't have that capability yet. It's definitely a good idea and something that we want to accomplish. It is not doable yet. I will write that down, and we should be fairly easy for us to pass a time to it and load the data for it. It's just that we want to prevent users doing this, and it will cause hundreds and hundreds of requests in a matter of seconds, and the data panel will go crazy as well. So, but definitely a good idea for us to look at. I'm just writing that down. Perfect. Will you include PNF charts going forward? So we should. I don't think we have those. We actually do have those. They're right here. So if I were to do that, we already have the PNF chart. So if you go to the second drop down here and you go to the very last one, we have point and figure charts already as part of the platform. If there are any chart types that we're missing that you guys feel should be included, feel free to let us know. We will definitely make sure that those are included, but PNF is already available. I guess that might be a question for mini charts. Let's just quickly check if mini charts has point and figure. Mini charts doesn't, we will enable it. So we'll enable PNF. Enable PNF for mini charts. That should be an easy thing to do. Awesome. So I will pause there and we'll keep going with the walkthrough. And I'll definitely answer all of these questions that are coming through, but let's just keep going as well. So next I want to cover Watchlist. So Watchlist, it's the exact same layout. Now that you've learned Screener, you don't need to relearn Watchlist. So the first box here is still search symbol. You get to search any symbol that you like. The stats table and the data panel, stats table and the data panel both show up. You could get rid of them. You could show them when you're on the Watchlist module. So I'll go ahead and expand this. We're on Watchlist. And the same dropdown, you could save infinite number of watch lists. There's no limitations. We have watch list presets that we're continuously adding to and improving, which you can again copy over to your own saved watch lists as well, or you can load them and see what we've included in each of these. So we have saved watch lists and watch list presets. You have the ability to create new watch lists, just like you do the ability to create screens. Nothing changes there. And the only difference between adding something to a watch list, so for example, let's say I have my core watch list and my focus list. I load that and I want to add a symbol to it. How do you do that, right? So that is where this comes in. When you press this plus, Let's say I want to type in something like Google, right? And I press GOOG, press enter. It will auto select that Google and it will add it to my watch list. If I want to get rid of it, you click the checkbox next to it. You'll see options that show up over here. You have the ability to add symbols to the same symbol to any other watch list that you like. You have the ability to copy it to your clipboard. You have the ability to delete it, and it will confirm that you really do want to delete Google. You do that and you get rid of it, and it gets rid of it as well. Now, there are a few other things when it comes to watch lists. We do have a quick tab switch, uh, a tab design over here. We will be introducing the same tabbed design on the screener so that you have the ability to quickly switch from one watch list to the other. Instead of going to your dropdown, going to the folder and things of that nature. So that improvement is going to come to Screener really soon, but you'll have the way the watch list works is all your watch lists are available in this tabbed view. If you were to scroll back and forth over here, you can see all of them, and you have the ability to switch them really quickly. The options on the right side, like I stated, are exactly the same. Nothing changes there. And that's, the watch list functionality. We're making major improvements to the watch list this month, introducing manual arrangement of symbols, ability to drag rows into other watch lists. So take, let's say I want AEYE in my focus list. I will have the ability to just take that, grab it from my mouse and drag it over to my focus list. So it makes the workflow a little bit easier. We'll also introduce sections in Watchlist this month. And then the next step for Watchlist is the ability to have combo lists. So our focus this month is to take our Watchlist module to the next level and introduce some of those capabilities that that makes your workflow easier, and you'll also have the ability to combine different watch lists into one, which we're calling combo list. So that's watch list. It's exact same layout, except it has the tab design at the very top. The tab design will be introduced to the screener in the coming weeks, which will be very similar, and things will look exactly the same across the board so that when you learn screener, you've already learned watch list. Let's go to we covered the data panel a little bit. Let's dive a little bit deeper into the stats table. So before we get into dashboard. So the stats table at the bottom, what it shows you is the earnings and sales. We'll be optimizing the layout of the stats table next week as well in a minor update. We'll make this column shorter, which will give you an extra quarter to look at. This is just taking up some extra space, which we felt is not really needed now that we have simplified the layout of the stats table. So we have the earnings and dollar figure and the growth numbers right underneath it. You will also notice that there's a blue highlight underneath and a pink highlight underneath. The blue highlight represents acceleration or increasing earnings. So if a company is growing from minus 35% quarter over quarter to 51 to 61 to 100, these are accelerating earnings. So we put a blue line underneath to give you an instant visual as to if a company is growing or shrinking in terms of its earnings or sales growth. So if a company is going from 25% to 24% sales growth to 19 to 12 to 3, well, this is decreasing growth or decreasing earnings growth. The next thing you will see in the stats table is a very simple settings menu. So let's say I don't want to see estimates, or I do want to see estimates. You have the ability to toggle that on and off. I don't want to see earnings. I only want to see sales. You can do that. Or I only want to see earnings and I don't want to see sales. You could do that as well. You could also switch from quarterly to annual view, and you have the ability to go from 4 quarters to 8 quarters. So if you want less data to show and you want 4 quarters and estimates, or to show at the very bottom, you have the ability to do that. Or you want 8 quarters of data, you have the ability to do that. If you guys want more data at the bottom here, let us know. We could always add more configs or things at the bottom over here. But that's the stats table. It's relatively simple. It will align with whichever stock you go to, and you have the ability to toggle on and off any of these settings. So next is the dashboard. Let's get into the dashboard a little bit and what the dashboard does, and I'll cover a lot of capability here. And the vision of our dashboard is basically to combine the screener module, the watch list module, and everything that we do in the future to give users a, I would say, if I create a new demo grid, just a sandbox to do whatever it is that they like, right? If you want to have multiple screens, if you want to have multiple watch lists, if you want to have multiple charts, if you want to have a data panel that you resize and you want to make it horizontal or vertical, right? If you want to add different views or ways to see data, that's essentially what dashboard is. It's a grid system for you to size things or have as many things as you like on it, and you could size and personalize to your liking. Whereas the screener layout is relatively fixed, right? The stats table is here, you can't move it. The data panel is here, you can't move it. You can't have multiple screens running at the same time. And the same thing for watch lists. You have one watch list, one stats table, one data panel. They're fixed into place. This is the layout you get. Some people really, really like this layout that we've made, right? And that's perfectly fine. But dashboard is an attempt or to give you guys that full flexibility so that you get to do whatever it is that you feel or whatever it is that you feel your layout should be, and it's completely customized to you. The layout, so the menu at the top here is exactly the same. So we have search symbol. When you click that, it will activate search symbol. When you click the drop down, you again can save your drop downs, or you could access our presets that we have, right? Presets are just dashboards that we've made for you to give you inspiration on how your dashboards can look like or could look like in Deepvue. You can duplicate any of our preset dashboards that we've made for you and make them your own, and you could save them as well. So I have market open, market close, weekend, and breadth folders that I have created for myself, so I can then quickly go to the ones that I want. If you're looking for any new dashboards, or you like any of the ones that I'm about to showcase, let me know. I can always make them presets and they will be available to you as well. Now, this plus button on dashboard will you have the ability to create new. That's exactly the same as it is on screener and watch list. So if I press this plus, you'll have something show up on the right side, which is add apps. So apps on dashboard will give us the capability to give you different visualizations like the performance chart or heat map or bubble charts that are not available on the screener or watchlist modules, right? And we've ported over the ability to take a chart and drag it over, and you now have a chart. But if I want two charts instead of one, or three charts instead of one, or four, or five, or six, you get the point, right? You get to control exactly what your dashboard looks like and how many charts you want on it. Now, if I get rid of that, you have the same thing or the capability, and we'll go over the UI of some of this in a few. You have the ability to drag multiple screeners at once. You could go up to 6. You have the ability to drag multiple watch lists over. You have the ability to drag multiple stats tables over, so on and so forth. So the data panel itself gives you the full flexibility. So if I want to resize it this way, I want to resize it vertically, I want to resize whatever it is that you like, you will be able to do that on the dashboard. Now, the same tab design happens at the very top over here. So you have the ability to quick switch and go to different dashboards as well. And you have the ability to, just give me 1 second. My dashboards are really heavy, so they take a little bit of time to load. So this will give you guys a good idea of what the data or the dashboard is capable of doing. So I have a chart on the left that I have over here. And then I have all my watch lists that are important to me plus the market's watch list. So when the market's open, I've created this dashboard where I can flip to different stocks really, really quickly. And I have my HV list up all the time. I have my HDF list, which I could go through, right? This stock probably doesn't belong there anymore, so get rid of it. And I have my universe, which combines all of my watch lists in one list. So I tab through this quite a bit. I have this particular view open, and it just showcases that you could have multiple watch lists up at once, and you can have a giant chart as well. Now, if I go to my daily screens dashboard, these are screens that are run intraday. So I have 4 screeners that are always running and they update real time. So the ability to have multiple screens up. So I drag those screen apps over, size them exactly the way I want them to be. And now they all talk to the chart as well. And I have that as well in my daily screens. Now let's go over some of how the dashboard works and how things communicate within the dashboard. So what you want to be aware of is when you hover over any of the apps that we have, you'll see a resizer show up on the top 4 corners of every app. So the resizer gives you the ability to make it as small as you like or as big as you like on your dashboard, right? When I resize something, you'll see a shadow kind of show up, and the shadow is just tracking the grid system that we have. And we're slowly moving towards an infinite grid system where if I want it to be right here or not here, so it won't be a snap type of grid, it will be exactly where you want it to be, right? So we're kind of slowly making strides towards that. But these resizers give you the ability to resize things whichever way you like. So that's one thing you want to be aware of. It's the same UI happens on the screener. The same UI for resizing happens on stats table, data panel, which is coming up next week, and watch list as well. So heat map, scatter plots, etc. The next thing that you want to be aware of is that, let's say if we pick the screener app within the dashboard, the UI, the UI element are exactly the same. So you still get access to your save screens, you still get access to your screen presets. You still have the ability to create a new screen right on the dashboard, so you don't have to go anywhere else. And you get the ability to, now we'll talk about group selection. So how does the chart talk to this particular app? How do they know that if I were to click this, the chart is supposed to update? And that's where group selection comes into play. Every app on the dashboard has a group selection. So if I want my chart to talk, to be in group 1 and talk to something else in group 1, then I want to place both my screener or watch list in the same group as my chart. For example, if I make this particular screen part of this group 2, this group 2 will no longer talk to anybody in group 1. So if I were to change any of these, it just won't talk to the chart anymore because they're part of different groups, right? So if I make this part of group 3 and I click any of these, the chart won't update because the chart's part of group 1 and the screener is part of group 3. Now, if I toggle this back to 1 and click it, now they're talking again, right? If I go through each of these symbols, they're updating because they're part of that same group. Now, group selection will allow you to be very creative. You can have, slice this chart up into 2 charts, have a group 1 chart and a group 2 chart, and then you can have them talk that way. We've seen a lot of creative things and people grouping things in different ways that talk to different, chart layouts, for example. And that's where this group selection comes into play. You get to dictate this chart app talks to which screener by placing them in the same group or by placing them in different groups. That's the dashboard. So we have many apps that you can push in or load. I will go through a few more layouts that I have on my end to give you guys some inspiration. I have one called Big Charts, which is just a layout with a giant chart. And if I were to search something, it loads up that chart. If I want to search SPY, it loads up that. I like to do a lot of chart work, like you guys have seen in my focus list, and um, going through past winners, going through my existing trades. So you'll see a lot of things that I mark up and a lot of annotations that I do. So I like to do that on the big chart dashboard. So I just named a big chart, pull in a chart, make it a giant size, and start, annotating things. Um, I have a weekend routine dashboard as well. So these are all the screens that I go through on the weekend. So I go through all the IPOs over the last year, the S&P 500, the high tide flags, the HV screen, the launch pads, and the relative strength screens. And then I also have the ability to change them to any other screen that I like. But this one view, I go through, 77, 503, 46, 25 plus 95. In one go, I could go through all of these charts and have a really clear picture. And I usually open this on Saturday mornings. I have a breadth view, which takes the ETFs on the left and gives me a clear view of what the market's doing. This morning, I built a market monitor dashboard. I wanted to show you guys. This is basically the S&P, IWM, IWO, and this is supposed to be the Qs. So if I go to selection 2 Qs, and it gives me the net high low for each of these and the ETFs as well. So this is something I will be using next week along with the market open dashboard, so that it gives me a clear picture of where and what indexes are doing. At the moment, indexes are all below the major key moving averages. We've seen breadth shrink, amount of setups is low. We want to be cautious, things of that nature. That I will bug you guys on the traded line side tomorrow when I publish my weekend routine blog post. Okay, so I have a heat map, which gives me a clear picture of what's acting well, what isn't. If you're curious about how to use the heat map, just Google heat map Deepvue. You'll see YouTube videos on it. You'll see how, knowledge-based articles that we've created. Really customizable, very flexible in terms of what we've done, because you get to pick any data point and you get to size them based on any data point as well. And you get to pick any screener that you could hook it up to, or any watch list that you can hook it up to, including our presets as well. So that's the dashboard. I'll take a few more questions now. I want to make sure I answer a few more before we get into some of the other things that I've written down. How can you import a watch list, say, from a CSV file? That's a great question. So if we go to the watch list module, importing things into Deepvue is a lot simpler than people think. So if you have a CSV, all you want to do is open that CSV, copy the symbols column to just, Control C, Command C, select, right click, copy, whatever works for you. And you come in here and you just right click and paste it. And that's it. That's how you import it. So that's really all there is to it. That's how you import things to a watch list. It's really that easy. We didn't want to upload a CSV. We'll take that CSV, do something with it, and make it a whole huge process. All you need to do is copy those symbols to your clipboard, come in here and paste it, and it will, if I take, let's say, I want these everything in my universe. I copy that to my clipboard. I create a new watch list. Just call it demo, right? So I've now created my demo watch list. Let's just delete these symbols and add a symbol, right? The pop-up will show, and now I could just paste those in. When I paste those in, it recognizes every single symbol that I just pasted in automatically, and I could go ahead and click add, and I have those symbols in my watch list. So I have 211. So importing is really that easy and not that complicated when it comes to uploading a file of a certain format with certain columns. We try to avoid all of that by just making this add new symbol really, really smart. Do you have multiple windows capability? So we do not have that, and that we will start focusing on in the month of October. It is scale. It's one of those things where screening a watch list and multiple windows, or taking, snapping this window out into its own window. People want to do that type of stuff. We will have that later on this year. At the moment, we do not have that. Can I set up more than one dashboard? Yes, you have the ability to set up infinite number of dashboards. There's no limitation that we've placed on the number of dashboards that you can create with your subscription. Are there any plans to show relative strength for stocks, sector, and or industry, just like we have done with the S&P? So basically, sector and industry symbols, I think, is the question. Yes, we do have plans for that. So one of the updates that we will be making next week is the data panel will have a similar drop down that we see for sub industry. So right now, when you click sub industry, you'll see the top stocks in that particular sub industry right away, sorted by relative strength. What we will do next week is when you click this drop down, I don't have a demo for you yet. I will in the next few days here. You will see the top industry groups, the names and the ranks of them based on 12-month or 1 month. So that is coming to the data panel next week, along with including the data panel on the dashboard. So that update is coming, and then the iteration after that is going to be introducing symbols for sectors and industries as well. Will guidance be something in the near future, even scan for? Yes. Guidance data, any fundamental data point that you could possibly think of will also be part of the platform. We have signed a deal with S&P Global just this past month, and it gives us access to every single fundamentally, any fundamental data point that you could possibly think of. So we'll have guidance, revisions, estimates, historical, obviously, the historical EPS and sales that we have already. And that includes the ability to scan for all of those fundamental data points, and it includes ratios, margins, ROE, ROA, any fundamental data point, I would say, under the sun will be part of the platform. And that's why our fundamental category is a little bit weak with only 23 data points, and that will swell up to over 400 at once. So yes, that's definitely part of the plan. The plus symbol keeps disappearing on my screen. What do I do to get it back? So when you load a screener preset, we don't give you guys the ability to edit presets because they affect everybody else. So if I load a preset, for you, the plus button will disappear. So if you're in a watch list preset, you can't add to a watch list preset. You have to copy that preset over by duplicating it to your saved watch list. And once you have it, once it's part of your saved watch list, then you'll see a plus button. Now, another way is if I have this S&P 500, which is actually a screener I converted to a watch list. And when I do that, if you're in a screener within the watch list module, then you won't see that plus button because you can't add symbols to a screen. So it's a little bit of a confusing experience. I will run it by the team to make it really, really obvious. Maybe we show the button, and when you hover over it, it says, hey, you're running a screen. You cannot add a symbol. You can't add symbols to a screen. That might be a better user experience. Could you explain what sections would do in Watchlist? Yes. So sections in Watchlist will be, let's say I want to combine my HV list and my HDF list to kind of be part of the same watch list. You can add a section to your existing list and you label it, under this particular section that I've created within my watch list, I have my high volume. Under this section, I have my HDFs. So it's kind of a way to see multiple watch lists at once, and you don't need many other watch lists. So it gives you the ability to have multiple watch lists within one watch list. I hope I explained that clearly, but it will be very obvious. We'll have a demo or two next week of the capability as well. Okay, so I'll just go to the top, so I don't want people to feel ignored. How to create different charts with the same and different symbols, how to create different time frames for charts. So how do you create different time frames for charts? So if I look at the charting module, and you guys have used TradingView or a similar platform before, you could click this particular drop down and you could choose, let's say I want a layout to look like this. Now you have the ability to have different charts within the same chart. So I have a daily time frame here. If I click that, it will highlight blue. I can make this my weekly and I can make this my monthly, right? Now I have three different time frames, essentially three different charts within the same chart and three different time frames within the same chart as well. Clicking each of these boxes will highlight the box that you want to tweak the settings for, right? So if I want to tweak something here and add an indicator to it, now it's going to add an indicator to the blue one that I just highlighted, right? So 52-week high low close. So that's how you accomplish different time frames within the same chart. Let's move that back to a single one because I use a single. Later, do we have preset charts? That's a really good question. Yes, we are working on preset charts or preset chart templates and exact layouts of other traders. We will also have the ability for you to see my chart layout, and as I make annotations on it, you will have real-time access to my annotations or any other person's annotations as well, as long as they share a link with you. So that will get into a space where trader A can share his chart layout and the setups or the annotations he's doing with thousands of other traders at once. And as that trader makes updates to that particular layout, the drawings will real time sync over to other, people. That's one of the things we want to do to make learning a little bit easier. And the space, the one to many type of space, and it will make things a lot easier for people to share, so if I make, for example, a chart annotation of ASDS and you have access to, let's say, my model book, Rise model book layout, you will see annotations of ASDS on your end as well, because you'll have access to the same layout. You won't have the ability to edit my layout, but you will have the ability to see the changes that I am making to my layout. I hope that makes sense. But definitely part of the plans to have preset charts, templates, and ability to sync. Is it possible to construct a screener for tickers breaking out on earnings? Is it possible to construct a screen? Yes, it is possible to construct a screener breaking out on earnings. What you want to do is we probably have that under earnings. If we don't, we can get that added. So like something like big earnings surprise. So the way you would construct that, we're not going to do this now because I quickly just want to answer the question first, is you go to the earnings filter and say the earnings were today or within the last week. We have a new filter called price percent change since last earnings, and you want to place that, say, the price of the stock has moved up 2 or 3% from the earnings day. That will tell you if a stock's moving up or down. In terms of breakout, is very subjective as to how you define it. So I couldn't define that for you, but you can use 52-week high, all-time high. You could use 3-month high. You could use, you could say, above the 10-day or above the 50-day, or prices greater than the 50-day now, things of that nature. I'm not sure how you define breakout, but it's definitely possible to construct something like that. Would you guys be able to include the trading life cycle as a screener? Yes, we should do that. Trading life cycle. I'm just writing it down as well so that we can get that in the pipeline and we can include those as screener presets. Should be fairly easy to do. Do you add UD ratio to your screening? Let's take a look. UD. Maybe we call it something else. Yep, we do have it up and down volume. Again, search is going to improve quite a bit. It's really not the best experience right now, but we do have up down volume ratio on a 20 and a 50 day as a criteria. I feel like our search being really bad, for lack of a better word, makes things harder to find, and people then think we don't have that capability, but we do. But there, it is called up and down volume. But search is going to get better. It's a huge focus for us. I think I answered that, Mike. I'll dismiss that question. Only earning will we able to scan only earning gaps? Yes. I mean we have a gap. So we have a gap criteria. So I think we'll create a preset. This has been asked more than once. So earnings gap preset. We can get that on the platform this weekend. That way you can just go to, you'll go to screener presets, you go to earnings, and I'm going to add something called earning gap ups. And that will make it easy for you to scan for earning gap ups. When will we have the ability to enter a symbol to search on full screen? Oh, I'm assuming like something like this where you create this full screen and then you start typing something and global search pops up. It does pop up in the background right now. So if I were to do, let's see if it works. No, it doesn't. So it takes the focus away, but we can make that happen. I think even in the background, we can enable and disable. So full screen chart search. Yeah, that should be easy to do. We just have to change the focus on full screen, and as you type symbols, we'll enable and disable global search. Well, when will we have the ability to post the stock twits? So stock twits recently, we're trying to work more and more with them. And recently they actually closed their APIs. They actually stopped the ability for you to post to X from StockTwits, but we're collaborating with them closely over the next couple of weeks. Our conversation started a month ago um, regarding that, and we really do want to do a lot of things with them. So if they allow it and they have an API for it, only then can we integrate with them. But recently they've been making a lot of changes to say, hey, no, we don't want to be a gateway for other platforms. We just want everybody to come to StockTwits. So if that's the case, then we really can't do much, but we are speaking to them. How do you modify parameters on all mini charts while you're using that module? Make all the charts have thicker lines. So the settings that exist in mini charts right now, you click mini charts and there's a mini chart settings. When you click that, a drop down for data shows up. We don't have the ability to add indicators right now, and we don't have the ability for you to make things or the appearance of all charts the same. That is something that we need to iterate and improve. If you use mini charts, just comment in the chat. It looks like a lot of you are using it. Maybe we should focus on improving it a lot sooner than we have planned. Does DV have preset charts? Okay, we answered this question. We do not have preset charts yet. Is there an ability to hide symbols on a watch list that are already in one of our target lists? This would allow us to quickly focus on new opportunities. We don't have that. We'll keep that in mind. Definitely submit it as a feature request, Mike. We don't have that right now. On the tabbed quick switch bar, would it make sense to limit those items to start? Yes, that's exactly what we're going to do. So the tabbed design is going to be limited to the ones that you bookmark in the dropdown, and only those would show up there instead of all of them. That's part of the plan. Could you share those dashboards? Definitely, I can share those dashboards. Make them presets. Sorry, last thing was a bad paste. No worries, Anthony. I will share the weekend dashboard. Just trying to answer as many questions. Will you include international stock exchanges going forward? What we've noticed is there's a very few amount of people that trade multiple markets based on the surveys and questions that we've asked. And we will be doing an India launch because there's a lot of interest for Deepvue in that region. And then we'll go to Australia, Canada, Germany, as separate markets. Within one account, you will be able to access other markets as well on a delayed basis. But if you want real time, it will be an additional uh, smaller fee, I believe. But we haven't seen like great interest in give me global markets because I want to go trade in the Philippines type of push from users. So it's not a huge focus for us. We're more focused on getting crypto data, getting futures data, getting forex data, getting OTC markets data, getting a whole bunch of new fundamental data, breadth data into the platform first before we try to make this Deepvue now global with thousands of markets that nobody's going to really use, or majority of our users are not going to use. Can you talk about your volume settings? Yes. So my volume indicator is the Deepvue enhanced volume. The style settings are up as blue, down as red. Uh, Pocket pivot is a green and a reverse pocket pivot is orange. That's what I have. And then for moving averages, I have the 20 on the daily, 10, and then I color based on previous close. So those are my settings for volume, and I'm using the Deepvue enhanced volume indicator. Just click a different watch list and go back and click it. Okay. RAI and TV, you can change how many mini charts you want in a row it's possible to get. Yes. Change number of charts per row. Change number of charts per. Yeah, we could definitely do that. That should be easy to do. Will you be able to directly trade in Deepvue in the future? Yes, we will have broker integrations. We actually will start with the journaling module a lot sooner than you guys think. We have integrations kind of planned out completely with many of the major US brokers, and that work is already done. And we will introduce a simplified journal in about November-ish area. It's going to become a huge focus in November. It will be a very simple journal, so it won't take away from the other things that we're doing, but you will be able to import your trades real time, sync your trades into the platform. We'll give you a whole bunch of stats on your trading. You can import your history. We'll give you a whole bunch of calculated fields and a very easy dashboard on which fields you want to see or don't want to see later on this year. And then next year we'll enable the capability for you to place a trade through Deepvue. Is it possible to share screeners and other? Yes. So I did not cover that because it was just a platform walkthrough. But if you go to any of your screens, and if I click that, you click the three dots, you will see a share. When you click share, it will copy that link to your clipboard. So if any of the screens that you guys ever want, you could tag me on social media. I can just simply take that, share the link with you. You'll have the exact same criteria for the screener that I'm using or any other GPU trader is using, and you'll have the exact same watch list symbols. We will introduce sync capabilities. So if I were to share with sync on, and if I make an update to this screen, you will see that same update on your profile because it will be completely synced real time. But we wanted to get this out because right now you can share a one-time type of share, and then we'll enable sync a little bit later on. Will Deepvue have the ability to float a screen on another? Yeah, so having the ability to take a chart, snap it out, and place it on a different screen, we will have that later on this year. All-time high data point, not yet, but we will. We haven't done an all-time high data point because our data only goes back to 2003, and if we calculate it, it would be the wrong numbers. So we are getting data back to 1970, and that's when we will enable it. So that's all part of the plans this year. We'll get more and more data into the platform. It's a big focus over Q4 and the rest of Q3. Would love to have more information on earnings is before and after. You do have that capability already. So every earnings is associated with the fact that it's before market or after market. And that is already in the platform. When you screen for it, or when you have it next to a symbol, a flag will show if earnings are within 14 days or 7 days. If it's 14 days, the symbol, the the flag will be gray. And if it's so like this, September 12 BTO. So ADSE is reporting September 12 before the market open. Oracle is reporting September 9 after market close. So that data is already there in the platform. Okay, I want to trade from Deepvue. That will happen in the future. Trying to get through as many of these as possible. Journeying module. Wow, excellent. That's awesome. Will indicators like TV's Pine script be possible, or could you add to Stockbee's T165 and T125? We will add Stockbee's T165 and 25 as indicators next week. Let's do that. It's an easy indicator to code. And we will get that out there next week. I will star that. Should be a quick and easy one to code and put out. Awesome. Okay. I just want to go through the comments a little bit to see. I know a lot of, I don't want to, I want to answer everybody's questions, not just a few people's. Yes, do more Stockbee scans. So we'll go crazy with the Stockbee scans. That's fine. Should be easy to code in. When you're using mini charts, can we use a keyboard shortcut to make the chart you want to focus on full screen? Yeah, that's a good idea. I think mini charts as a whole, the concept needs to be a lot more flexible. I think our initial implementation was a little bit rushed and not well thought out. So dashboard is an incredible, team is awesome. Thanks so much. The star next to the screener. So the star next to the screener, let me answer that. So let's say I want this particular screen to be converted to a watch list. So I can press this and it will say watch list successfully added my Deepvue leaders. Now, if I go back to watch list, I will see my Deepvue leaders as a screen that is now available on the watch list. So can you do equivalent volume candles? Yes, we can. So we'll enable those. It's just a chart type, so we'll enable that. Can you cover? I think I covered that, Michael, how to import things. Okay, I don't see. Could you add a TTM squeeze pro indicator? We have that already. We actually did that last week. The TTM squeeze indicator is here. So TTM squeeze, you can now add that in the platform. Regarding Stockbee scans the EP 9 million and the momentum burst with 2 criteria met. Yeah, Toby, if you can submit those as feature requests, I'll get them into the platform right away. It should be very easy to do. Well, we have ticks in the future. Right now, we do a per second aggregation. We will have ticks in the future for sure. We just want to optimize and go step by step and not go crazy and have nothing work. Ticks in a web application are harder, but we have been working on that. How soon in the ticks? I don't have a timeline at the moment. I thought some breadth symbols were shown. Are they available? How do I find them? So breadth symbols are available in Deepvue. If I click search symbol and I type in SA, you'll see stocks above 50-day, 40-day, and 200-day. These are available over here. We're going to add more as we switch to a time series model in the background, and we're continuing to work really, really hard to make that happen. And it will be much easier to add more breadth symbols, but we're going to have more by the end of this year, about 100 to 150 breadth symbols in the application. Awesome. Does do DV charts show pre and post market? Yes, they do. So if I go to, let's say, Apple or something, which is very liquid, and then I go to a 5-minute and I enable extended markets. If I go under sessions, give me extended markets, you have extended markets. So what you have to do is go to settings, session, extended markets. That's how you enable. And extended markets are available on any intraday time frame. Do you have any tentative date for India launch? I do not have a tentative date for India launch. We have the data now, and we're in the process of integrating, and it's part of what's blocking that is our shift to a time series model, or a formula builder is what we're calling it publicly. So those two are really the same things. Once that's done, then we'll have the capability, or that's when we will integrate India into the platform. Can you briefly explain what you mean by time series? So everything's going to be time based. So let's say I want to, right now the screener, you run it for today and you get the results for today. But then you can pick a day in the past and you could run a screen for a day in the past, or you can run a screen for a time span. You could say, give me the HV screen from Monday to Friday, all the results that were applicable for that. And that way everything will be based on time when it comes to screens. And it will also allow us to, when you hover this cursor over the different dates in the chart, to go to different data for the data panel. So that's what I mean by time series. Indexes will be available later this year as well, but we do have SPX, NASDAQ, and the Russell as part of the platform if you search with the $sign. Perfect. Okay. I don't have much else to cover today. I got a lot of good ideas from you guys as to what we should be doing in the short term, right? Some of the smaller things we could get done right away, like creating an earnings preset, enabling chart search and full screen, making mini charts have more rows or less rows based on user preference, enabling point and figure charts and mini charts, getting the trading lifecycle IPO screens into the platform, getting the TI65, TI25 Stockbee indicators, the equivalent volume. So some of these are like very easy and smaller wins. That's super helpful that many of you guys want that, and it's very easy for us to put in the platform as well. Perfect. So I will, if there are no more, I know I see a lot more questions, but we will end it there. It's been 90 minutes. So if you guys have any additional questions or something that I did not cover in today's webinar, I'll sign off by saying we have a whole education module that you want to check out. So we have articles, tutorials, and events that are all available. So we publish one article a month that is available here. When you click it, it will open in a new tab. We have tutorials that, this particular one will also be available. And we have events, which is the one that we're doing right now. And the next event that we have is the onboarding call that you could register for. And all prior events are also available. The next and the last thing is, if you guys ever have any questions, you want to click the bottom left help menu. You can contact us or report a bug. And if you have a general question, report an issue, or have a feature request, you can submit those into the platform as well. We have an extensive knowledge base. We're working to get this knowledge base into the education module over the next couple of weeks as well. But this gives you every feature that we roll out is extensively documented to make it easy for you to learn it. So if I want to type in something like, show me everything about RMD, these are the articles related to it. Show me something about stage analysis. This is something that's related to stage analysis. So the search is very powerful for the knowledge base, and any question that you could possibly think of when it comes to the platform, as we go through in the background, we have a clear flow where the knowledge base is completely updated as we roll out new features. So any questions, if you can't find your answer there or you feel lost, you can always reach out and contact us. And last month we actually decreased our support, first response when you contact support to less than 30 minutes. And we're continuing to try to get that lower and lower, but that was a huge improvement, over 30% in terms of first response time from the support team. So with that, if you guys have any future questions, feel free to contact here. You could tag me on social media as well. Happy to answer them. If you liked any of the screens that you saw and you really want them on your platform, I'm happy to share the screens and watch lists that I have in here as well. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next webinar. Thanks so much.